Good evening. Welcome to Delsu News Television. I am Great Kenechi Odifili. The news headlines. Delsu inaugurates 2021-2022 SUG executives. SUG president makes cogent request. VC assures SUG of needed support. The news in details. Delta State University, Abraka, today, Wednesday, 12th January 2022, formally inaugurates the 2021-2022 SUG executives, Supreme Student Senate, and members of the Student Representative Council, SRC. The event, which was moderated by the University Public Relations Officer, Mr. Edward Agbure, took place at the Dean's Conference Hall in Faculty of Education area of the university. The opening prayer was led by the Registrar of the University, Mrs. Rufina Ofiofio. This was immediately followed by the introduction of SUG executive members by the Dean of Student Affairs, Professor Maxwell Chukwujendo Iwebwe. The elected senators and SRC members introduced themselves thereafter.
The Vice Chancellor of Delta State University, Comrade Professor Andy Ibuyenga, the Registrar, Mrs. Rufina Ofiofio, Deputy Registrar Students, all staff of Delta State University here present, great Nigerian students, articulate Nigerian students, intelligent Nigerian students, hey Bobo, hey Baza. I want to formally welcome all of you to this great occasion of swearing of the elected members of the Student Union ESCO and the House of the Senate and House of Student Representative Council. Yes, on the list, the first citizen is Mr. Cyprian Odifili.
Greatest Nigerian students!
Yes.
Of the greatest Nigerian students!
Yes. Describe the Secretary General, Ewere Sama.
Of the greatest Baba! The greatest Bobo!
Omoro Ufu, Julius Excel.
Great Baba! Great Bobo!
Director of Finance. Ebu Water, Peter.
Great Nigerian students!
Director of Welfare. Ikorobi Ewuma Ora.
Great Nigerian students!
Meye Collins Ugo.
Of the greatest Nigerian students! Great!
Owaye Disney Ugo. Director of Information.
Of the greatest Nigerian students! Great Bobo! Great Baba!
Edwin Fred Olise Ereremi Treasurer.
I am Bobo Augustus, Senator representing the town. My name is Tia, Senator representing the Medical Services.
Representing the Faculty of Social Science. My name is Iran Henry, Senator representing the Faculty of Management Science.
My name is Ikwasa Esra Hillary, representing the Department of Medical Biomedical and Genetic. My name is Eme Basi, representing the Great Department of Human and Natural Sciences. My name is Okafu Onye, representing the Department of Library and Information.
My name is Iran Paul Sars, representing the prestigious Social Science Education.
The Registrar of the University, Mrs. Ofiofio, administered the oath of office to the formally inaugurated SUG Executive, Senate, and SRC member.
The Vice Chancellor, sir. Permit me to stand on existing protocol. Okay, repeat after me. I do hereby solemnly swear and bind myself to be faithful and owe allegiance to the Delta State University and the Students' Union Government to discharge my duties in accordance with the Constitution of the Union, to strive to preserve and defend the Constitution's aims and objectives set out therein, not to allow my personal interests to influence my official conduct or decision, to do right to all members of the Union without fear or favor, affection or ill will, that I will not directly or indirectly divulge to any person any matter of the Union that may be entrusted to me by virtue of my office, except as may be necessary for the discharge of my duties as called. So in your position, we call your position of this union. So help me God.
Immediately after the inauguration, the SUG President, Ambassador Comrade Prince C. Odifili, proceeded with his inaugural speech, consisting of several cogent requests from the university management for the interest of the students.
That's una LLA. That's una wire. Get up. That's una LLA. That's una wire. No time for sweet like that. No time for sweet like that. That's una LLA. The greatest Nigerian students. Greatest Bobo. Greatest Baba. Kulu Kulu.
My corporate vice chancellor, the registrar, my erudite and amiable dean of student affairs, members of 28th Assembly, all people observed. It fills me with a great sense of gratitude and patient humility to stand here before us, grateful for the trust bestowed, mindful of the sacrifices of our country. For I have sworn before you, an Almighty God, the same solemn oath which our forebears prescribed. Mr. Vice Chancellor, permit me to start by expressing my gratitude to God Almighty for making this day a reality. I appreciate the great Nigerian students on our campus for their patience and their support during the electoral process. They are our motivation and backbone of the union. Mr. Vice Chancellor, essentially, the same revolutionary belief and challenges which our forebears fought with and against are still issues around us today. We believe that without students, no lecturers, and no school management, that students must be treated right and their perspective must be adequately listened to by management in the formulation and implementation of any policy, since students are at the receiving ends of any policy made. However, doing this should not be perceived as a matter of generosity of the school authority, but an absolute necessity in achieving the vision of the founding fathers of this great institution, which we still hold as sacred to today. Mr. Vice Chancellor, We are confident to the myriad of issues, conditions, and ample challenges confronting DESFI to date. The true point of these challenges summon us again to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, as we utilize all possible means to ensure that it is DESFI possible. Mr. Vice Chancellor, we vehemently believe that the greatest expression of faith is in our ability to look upon our imperfection and decide that it is in our power to make it better by aligning with the highest ideas. Hence, we make this agrees. The issue of security challenges inside and outside the school. This unfortunate event has brought fear in our students and is continuously endangering our lives. As for a series of months and counting, students has reportedly lost their properties and got beaten and even raped by these hoodlums. This administration will be committed to the safety of lives and properties of our students and staff in this community, and we shall put to use all due process to achieve applaudable security situations in our university community. Mr. Vice Chancellor, the union is appealing to the school management to look into the reckless and criminal activities of some bikemen in Africa. I want to commend the Vice Chancellor because yesterday I was privileged to attend the DELSU Safety and Security meeting, and I was made to understand that the school management has started some efforts in tackling this challenge. But nevertheless, we are praying that the school management attention to the activities of these black men in Abraka, because some of them carry our students, they stop them at isolated areas, rob them, and some cases they rape them. We quite understand that ladies, they don't like reporting cases of rape or fear of stigmatism unless their closest confidant who return is received. So in this regard, the movement of Know Your Rider is a paramount need needed to be ensured by the school for insurance of our students' security. This can be achieved by getting a bikeman properly registered. You need to always put up verifiable vets with bold identity code, and so that in case of anything, our students will be able to identify these persons. This will help reduce the incidents. Students as well avoid bikers without vets. And in case of the harm, these bikers can be traced to be moved from the best area. The union is also concerned, appealing to the school management to consider make-up exams for our students, who must have acts of unruly and unavoidable circumstances miss their examinations. Students who miss their exams on head grounds, some accident issues or related offences. Because most of them, they find difficult during the period to get clearance from the head department to be exempted from the exams. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I would like to draw your attention to some issues relating to this appeal. We know of one of our students, most especially faculty of pharmacy. This student of ours fell ill during the exams. In fact, before the exam, the student was ill. The students were coming from the health center to writing an exam in faculty of pharmacy. As a matter of fact, there was a day whereby the student collapsed in the exam hall. And some of the staff aided her and she was rushed to the health center. Mr. Vice Chancellor, I would like to bring to your attention that this student of ours at the end of the day got a carryover for that course. In the sense that the lecturer was able to witness everything that happened that day. She was not considered for any form of maybe make-up exam or so. He had a carryover. As a matter of fact, this student of ours had no less than 4 carryover in that session because of our head challenge. So we are begging for the school authority to consider make-up exams for our students. This student we're talking about was one time a festival student, but we don't know if she will be able to graduate as a result of that issue. So this school authority should consider a make-up exam for our students. We will have different cases related to that in different faculties. Faculty of Education, Faculty of Arts, to be mentioned, but Mr. Vice Chancellor, The rehabilitation of the street lighting system around the NTC hall, the BMS Faculty of Education route, should be considered because bad occurrences are incubated in isolated and dark places. So it is of importance that we fix up and run by the lighting system across the school. Greatest Nigerian student. Great. A compelling attention toward the small gate and entrance picture the regular activities and harbor obstruction of enlightenment here. All of us are doing their business and at the same time causing damages. Obstruction sometimes and harassment, luckily for our students through their reckless parking and labor. The union is interested in making that entrance organized. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, since catering and latest services fall under the SUG, we shall be working closely with the Team of Student Affairs to set up SUG Task Force Welfare Committee that will ensure that our students access affordable services inside our campus. The committee will be given the responsibility of regulating the prices of goods and services on our campus so that our students will not suffer exploitation outside the campus and at the same time be suffering exploitation inside the campus in the hand of the so-called entrepreneurs. We are also concerned about the great hype in the accommodation of rent of our students outside the campus. I wish to appeal to the school management to explore ways because of accommodation outside the school can be influenced and regulated since the university is a major stakeholder in our community. Although this may be of the crutch of responsibility of the school, but at the same affective, we believe that the school has a unified voice that the community will listen to. Lastly, Mr. Vice Chancellor, the SUG would love to have a state-of-the-art SUG pavilion where SUG activities and its affiliate can be done. The one at Site 2 has gone moribund and the area can no longer serve its purpose due to the current population of the school. So, Mr. Vice Chancellor, with sustainable support of the school management, our administration will lay the foundation for a more responsible, for a more responsive, and a more intellectually oriented student union that won't be a pain, but rather a partner for socio-economic, academic, political, and social development. Conclusively, let me loud and applaud the administration of my immediate predecessor, Right Honorable Solomon McCullough, for their achievements so far to unionism campus. We try as much as possible to consolidate on their achievement. I'm sure all that's right that there will be light at the end of the tunnel. God bless Delson.
I think we can do more than what I have.
Reacting to the inaugural speech of Mr. President, the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Andy Ogochukwu Eguyenga, congratulated the newly inaugurated student leaders and promised to tackle most of the challenges highlighted by the SUG President during his inaugural speech. The Vice Chancellor also advised student leaders to consider dialogue and constructive engagement rather than open confrontation as means of resolving issues or pressing demand, stressing that intellectuals confront with their brains and not their fists.
Students and my distinguished members of the Students' Union, I wish to use this opportunity to congratulate you on your swearing in today as executives and other officials of the Students' Union Government of Delta State University. This is a call to leadership. Our duty here, our vision in this university is to lead, inspire, and advance the positioning of Delta State University to make it one of the best in the country. That is the vision of this administration. I call on you to work with the administration to realize this vision. Let me tell you first that the university system has become very competitive. Of the 210 universities in Nigeria currently, there is a kind of fierce competition to ensure that you emerge, that you're on top of the ladder. Currently, Delta State University is on the rise. If you know how to go on the net to look at the ranking of institutions and look at those indices that are used to rank institutions, you see that we are going through an unprecedented rise in terms of quality of administration, in terms of achievement, and other ways of looking at universities. And let me say that the most important constituency in the university system is student population. Without students, we will not be here. So you are indeed the most important segment of the university. And our whole business here is to ensure that we offer the students the highest quality that will make them compete favorably when they graduate. And I want to tell you that our students are competing very favorably. I'm never tired of saying this. I've been saying it anywhere I find students gathered as a way of letting them know that their alumni, their other students who have graduated are representing them well. 2020, I was in UK on a private visit, and that was at the outbreak of COVID. I wasn't feeling fine and I feared whether it was COVID. So I went to the street for general practice in London. It's Hadley Street. If you Google Hadley Street, that is where you have most of the medical establishment for general practice. I was referred to 20 Hadley Street, and I went in there and people waited for a particular doctor. That's a very good doctor. I clicked into it and decided to wait. By the time I saw him, behold, he was a graduate of Delta State University, and he graduated only 7 years ago. So this university is producing some of the very best. By the time you go through the alumni activities, you see what your colleagues who have graduated are doing. So you are privileged to be called upon to lead the students at this time. I want you to take it as a historic responsibility. Don't take it for granted, because some of the best leaders we have in this country all started like this. It may have looked very uneventful, very simple. Many of them were our students here. We mentored when I was ASU chairman. Some of them are in the State House of Assembly, Ruben Izezi. Some of them are in government, Mike Akogiri. Many of them are in government, this government, making the government proud. They started from here as students. So you can make yourself proud, you can make the government proud, you can make your family proud with this small step that you have taken. Let me just talk about a few things about the qualities of a good leader, because you have become leaders in this community of over almost 30,000 students. I think you must learn to communicate with your membership. Communication is very important. A leader must come with a vision, with an idea, and until you communicate that idea effectively with the people you are leading, you cannot carry them along. They must understand where you're going to. Communication is very important. Empathy is also very important. Empathy means that you understand the difficulty somebody is going through and you are prepared to offer a helping hand. Not just to say, yes, I understand it. What have you done to affect it? Innovation. Innovation. A leader must be innovative. He must look at what is on ground. How can you add value? How can you make it better through genuine good ideas? And then the leader must have passion. You must have passion. You must be seeing it as your own. Everything about you must be put into what you are doing. If you are not passionate about what you are doing, you are not likely to succeed in what you are doing, because you are not owning it. You're not putting your entire body into it. And of course, you must have emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence means that when you are challenged, when you have to apply your emotions, how do you put it? Do you just make it so raw and begin to shout at people and begin to display intolerance? Because leadership means at a point there must be stress, there must be total, in fact, certain times the challenge will be so much that there is what is called pressure. How do you manage pressure as a leader? Do you begin to get disoriented and then begin to scream at people or begin to insult those who elected you? Humility is also, in fact, if not perhaps the strongest point of a good leader. Humility simply means that whatever you are, you know that it is not by your own effort. There is a creator behind you that gave you that quality you have. So you must reflect first, honor to that creator in everything you do, to see that people are more important. People are more important than you. You are just a servant. So humility is a very, very strong point. There are many qualities, there's so many of them, of a good leader. I'm just listed a few that just came to my head right now. But in the totality of it is that a good leader must also have some kind of knowledge of where he's going to. So I welcome you to this very important task. We are going to be leading to about almost 30,000 students here. At a time the university is in a state of flux. The university is changing from just being an ordinary university, a digital university. That's what we are trying to create. A digital university, a university that people will hear of anywhere, and a university that is on the rise. First of all, the students' welfare should be your focus. You must look at, we know there are difficulties. You must be looking at strategies to make those things better. And your interaction with the administration should be what we call constructive engagement. Yes, we know that there are the 3 C's because we have gone through the system. I've gone through the students' union, I've gone through the staff, and now I'm also a leader leading this university. You must first of all try to be constructive, put matters on the table. If things are not properly presented on the table, then you're already starting from a weak position. You must articulate issues on the table. And when there is conflict, when there is crisis, because crisis is part and parcel of human existence, there must be disagreement, and disagreement can grow to a level where it looks as if you are not able to meet. Then you have to consolidate. You have to consolidate. You have to come back to look at the issues and see where good compromises can be made. A leader that cannot recognize where to make compromise is not a good leader. Because what it means is that you are trying to force your own thinking on the other party, forgetting that in a discussion, you are just as you are sitting opposite each other, you are going to meet at the center, at a particular level. So you lose some, you gain some. That's how it is in discussion. And even when it comes to confrontation, we have been taught that you fight in the university with your brains, not with your fists. You understand it? You fight with your brains, not with your fists. The university is not a place where you begin to exchange blows or begin to fire guns. No, it's a place for intellectual intercourse. You begin to use your brains to engage, to confront. So you must understand this, that when you are in an intellectual environment, it is the quality, it's your intelligence that will see you through. I have listened to the president of the Students' Union. Good first impression matters a lot. And I think I have a very good impression of this president. I'm a teacher for 40 years. So when I see a good student, I recognize it. The first is that the speech is well written. It's not full of grammatical errors. It's well written. It is kind of ordered. And the points link each other. That's a mark of a good essay. When you write, there is a flow. There is an unseen kind of thread linking what you are saying, one thing to the other. And those issues are relevant. So I hope you wrote the speech yourself, and that you will keep it up, and you will be guided by some of these points you have made. They are very important points, and I want to try to respond to a few of them. The security challenge is very important. It's very important. Like you noted, we have set up a committee on that. The university is the biggest industry in Abraka. That is what is responsible for employment of over 90% of people in Abraka, whether they are in the informal sector or not, whatever they are doing, is the university. So we must engage. We must engage. The town and the gown must engage. And that is what we are doing with the committee we have set up. And in doing so, we are also subject to the regulations, to the rules of government. Your suggestion on how this Okada and Keke people can be properly tagged to be identified is very constructive, and we are working on it. But it is something that government will also have a role to play. So I believe that in the no distant future, with the committee we have put in place, and with the local government and the task force that the state government has set up, we will get there, because I believe that people must have their tags that identify them, so that we know those who are genuine and those who are not. And the fact that of the challenge that many of them are migratory. Some of the Okadas you find here, they know that this is a suitable place to get passengers, so some of them will start coming maybe from Arakpa, some from Obiaroko, some as far as villages close to Ugeli. So not all of them are necessarily people around here. All that will have to be taken into consideration in taking a decision that will ensure that these people are properly organized. And then the students themselves have a responsibility. You must ensure that through your own organization, you have your security network. Ladies must be very careful how they just jump into Okadas and where they go to. And when there is difficulty, they must be. When there is difficulty, they must be emotionally intelligent enough to know how to link up with people. So perhaps you may need to have. So perhaps you may need to have some kind of hotlines that students can call when in danger and things like that. But the security issue is actually being tackled. Worthy of comment is the make-up exam. Let me tell you that the university regulations are in place and they are not subject to changes when people fall ill. The university must embrace global, international best practices. We are not going to make Abraka local. When somebody is sick, you now postpone the exam, come and take it 3 weeks. When they see that in our records, and then people will abuse it, they will say this university is like a banana university. It's just everything goes. We must do things in accordance with set rules. But what happens is that many of the students are not aware of these rules. And some of our young lecturers too are not aware. When there is genuine reason and a student is unable to take an exam, genuine in the sense that on medical grounds as documented by the University Medical Center and the Director of Health Services, that exam will be taken at the next available opportunity. When that authority is given as a next available opportunity, it is not credited. It is not credited, which means that it is not recorded as F. At the time it is taken at the next available opportunity, which is the next time the exam is taken, it will be taken as if the person is taking it for the first time. But when you have failed something before, it will be credited in calculating the GP. So you will drop when you take it again. But it will not affect you like that. If you are on medical excuse, that is the best the university can do. We can't say because we are not able to take the pharmacy course because we are sick, oh, let us put makeup 2 weeks time. No. It makes the university a laughing stock. What we do is that when you are able to take it, it doesn't count against you. You can only suffer the normal, natural one that maybe time. But it's a natural thing. It wasn't caused by you, neither was it caused by the university. So the bottom line is students should know how to be fit and prepared for exams, not to fall sick during exam. And it takes proactive to it. But when it starts, because of your speech, we were thinking of starting from the library. You notice that you have a main library that looks like a very big church around the other side, call it Obiaroko. It has been there for 2 years and a half now. We have resolved to put it to use because almost 80% of the student population now congregate around that site. So there must be a library facility close to where you have a large student population. It's no longer acceptable that students should be going to campus to cross for library services. So I have given the librarian a deadline of the middle of February to put the place to use. And one of the things we need there is to make sure that we put new solar lights so that at night the place will be clearly lit. That is the work that was going to start next week. But we are going to modify to ensure that that of rehabilitation of the lights around the hostel takes priority because of students' interest. The problem around the small gates, I understand it, we also tackle the issue of catering and mental services. Up to you with your the Dean of Students' Office to come up with viable programs. See, in many universities abroad, the students organize a lot of things by their own ingenuity. If you come up with a very bright idea about your own catering services, and it is workable and it's acceptable to you, we implement it. It's your own interest. Then the issue of rent. I've been training, people have been telling me that there was even some sections of students planning protests over rent issues. I will advise that you employ dialogue. There are some people that their only means of livelihood is the investment they put in property to charge rent. A smart businessman, when he runs into 10 million, instead of using it to travel abroad to pursue the one suffering in the desert, he can build some hostels. And it is going to make money from the rent of the hostels to sustain his family. And the price of those hostels will continue to increase as inflation and other things increase. So you cannot fault them for the increase. Actually, you should already do it for them. What you can do is to negotiate, to meet at a point how they can make it easier for students. So I encourage the Students' Union to liaise with the town. We have been helping the town to get data organized. They now have a kind of liaison office, a structure. I think it's around Anioma Filling Station there. We are assisting them to set up a proper organization. Rather than go yourself, engage. These are people well known by the community, with influence in the community. Engage them and see how you can get a meaningful reduction on some of these rents. I encourage, in fact, required to live on campus. If you don't live with the people you are living and the environment where you are living, you go and take maybe 200,000 accommodation somewhere surrounded by some of these fraudulent characters riding fast cars, you will not feel the pulse of the students. But when you are living with them, maybe you are in the BG hostel or the executive hostel or in the DC hostel or indeed Abaka, you know how your students feel and you will be more empathic in dealing with problems.
The vote of thanks was delivered by the SUG Secretary General and the closing prayer led by the Vice President of the SUG. This is all on our news hour on Delso News Television. Till I come your way next time, I am Great Kenichi Odifili.